you get into the issue of human happiness. All right. These guys sit in Wall Street. They get up, 4 o'clock in the morning to see what the stock market is in Japan, and and they make zillions of dollars doing crap. I mean, what's the usefulness to society?
Bernie Sanders was a guest on Andrew Schulz show. They talked about a number of topics. In this section, they talked about U.S. culture and the usefulness of various professions. We're going to take a look at these clips of Andrew Schulz and his co-hosts talking to Bernie Sanders about this. I'm going to share my thoughts on this as well. Let's check it out together.
Culturally, what Trump represents to me, he lies all of the time. He is interested in himself and more money. And almost what bothers me is that is the kind of culture that we advertise to young people. This is the world. If you lie and you cheat and you steal, you too someday can be a multi-billionaire. Is that where we want to go as a nation? And what's the alternative?
I think the most important question is, what do we want as Americans? And I think it is hard to, I think the way that we teach it in school is that people came here for freedom. And I think if we were being more honest, I think people came here for money. And I think it was freedom from a lack of opportunity. There was freedom from oppression. Otherwise, my mother is an immigrant. But I think...
Where'd your mom come from?
Scotland. So, she didn't have maybe a lot of opportunity. Stopped going to school at 15 years old, came here to America, she started a dance school, and she had immense success here, teaching dance lessons in New York City. Who would have thought? But I think the reality is that opportunity. I think Akash's family also came here for financial opportunity.
My family as well.
Exactly. And I think it's very hard to tear that away. I think that the fuel of the American machine is this idea, the delusional hope that one day we'll all be millionaires.
All right. But is
I don't know if that's right, but I think that is.
Look, I think this city is what the melting pot city in a sense, where my father came from Poland. He dropped out of school at 14. Yeah. He came here at the age of 17, really incredible, without any money. All right. And that's the story of millions and millions of families. We all came different ways. But what I'm getting at is, should the goal, and everybody wants to live comfortably, right?
Absolutely.
There's nothing to be ashamed of. You have to worry about whether you can pay the electric bill. You want to make sure your kids get an education. All right. But does the culture have to suggest that to be a success, you need to be a billionaire? What I'm getting at is, I'm the former chairman of a committee that deals with all this stuff. So we don't have enough doctors in America. We don't have enough nurses. We don't have enough dentists. I brought in several $1 billion into the state of Vermont for infrastructure, to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure. We did that all over America. We don't have enough construction workers who make good money, by the way. You want to be a sheet metal worker, you want to be a welder, you want to be an electrician, you want to be we don't have enough. What I'm saying is, I would like to see us say, you want to make America great? Good.
Dude.
I want to have doctors, so you have to wait 2 months to get into a doctor's office.
This is, it's so important. It's like, what does the culture award? I think Akash can speak on this maybe the best of all of us. Like, within your community, what is the highest?
Doctor.
It's doctor. Doctors don't make the most money. There are hedge fund managers that make more money. But if they're in a group, like you speak to, if you're in the family gathering.
There's an honor. I get to brag to my parents get to brag to other friends. My son is a doctor. And I don't even know if it's about helping people, but for that is the thing.
Yeah.
And
it's not the most lucrative profession.
No, it's not. But
it garners the most.
My dad told me, he was like, "I'm really proud of your success. I'm proud of how far you've come. I want you to know, no matter how famous you get, I would still rather you be a doctor."
And so maybe there's a version of that in America where, like, obviously we want financial success, but can we reward some of these other positions as they offer societal utility?
Right. And then you go even deeper than that. And that is, then now you're going really deep, you get into the issue of human happiness. All right. These guys sit in Wall Street. They get up, 4 o'clock in the morning to see what the stock market is in Japan, and they make zillions of dollars doing crap. I mean, what's the usefulness to society?
Yeah.
And you got a kindergarten teacher here in New York City who is nurturing and making life better for some low-income kid, right?
Yeah.
Right. Who's doing more important work?
I mean, the teacher, without a doubt. Yeah. There's no question. The problem is that we're not rewarding those positions.
Right.
And if we did reward them, like if it was this great honor to hold these certain positions, which I still do think doctor is,
yes.
But I think they're few and far between. And first of all, doctors make a lot of money, so let's not act like they don't. But I think they're few and far between positions that don't make a lot of money, but still command immense respect in America.
And I agree with much of what Andrew Schulz is saying here, and Bernie Sanders as well. We have gotten to a point with teachers where it's not even just they don't make that much money and it's a tough job. They're essentially under attack from a political party constantly. It's not just enough that it's a hard job and they're underpaid and all of that. You have the Republican Party saying that teachers are indoctrinating kids. They're doing all these horrible things to kids. College professors, a little bit different in terms of pay compared to teachers, but they're indoctrinating kids and turning them into communists and teaching them to hate America and all this kind of stuff. This is what the Republicans are saying. And you have Donald Trump. I don't know if anyone has single-handedly damaged more professions than Donald Trump. He's gone after, of course, the Republicans have gone after teachers for a long time, but he goes after teachers, college professors. According to Trump, government workers are lazy and they're working on other jobs while they're supposed to be doing their government work. Air traffic controllers are under attack from Trump and the Republicans. That was a position that people didn't have ill will towards air traffic controllers. People that work elections, those people get all kinds of threats now, which at one point that would have been a respected thing to do in most communities, but now they're under attack. And to go back to something that Andrew Schulz said here when he talks about that people come from other countries, not for freedom, but for money. I mean, that's true. I mean, Andrew Schulz is right with what he's saying there, but he talks about becoming a millionaire. And I think there was a time in our country when not everyone was thinking all the time about I want to be a millionaire, or now you want to be a billionaire. It was the white picket fence, being able to buy a new car every few years, being able to go on vacation to the beach every summer, and to have a pension and decent benefits and all that. And, that was the American dream and I'm not that old, but that was the American dream to me growing up. And even that is out of reach for so many people now, let alone being a multimillionaire or a billionaire. And this is what Bernie Sanders preaches all the time, is just for people to be able to go to a doctor, for people to be able to get a day off here or there.
I do think that we are tied to the dollar, unfortunately. And how do we change that?
And that's exactly the question. Again, getting to it seems to me, you talk to, I'll tell you so, we do a thing in Vermont, it's called the Bernie Buzz. It's a newsletter that goes out. Did an interview with a woman who works in a nursing home. God knows what she makes. It's not a lot of money. Okay. Mm-hmm. And she talked about her satisfaction helping seniors, fixing their hair, the women getting their nails and all that stuff. And the pride, she's a religious woman. Okay. And the pride she had and how she feels good. I want us to feel good about doing good stuff.
Yes.
Not just ripping off other people. I don't want to be...
But the problem is much deeper than a Donald Trump, to give some pushback.
Yes, I agree.
Gordon Gekko is celebrated as a hero.
Exactly.
I grew up listening to rap. I still love it, but it's all about excess wealth, being rich, being billionaires. It doesn't matter how you get the money. Doesn't matter if it's honorable or not.
When we were growing up, there was a million movies about, and there's a lot of criticism for this, but some teacher who's well off that goes to the hood and really commits to revitalizing that school, right? And initially the teacher's not accepted, but then the teachers see that, so the kids see that he's a good, or she's a good force on humanity, and it's really rewarded. I don't think they make those movies anymore. I think it's a bunch of Gordon Gekkos, right? Or every Marvel movie is about, an Elon Musk, character type, which is, Iron Man is Tony Stark. So yeah, the culture is clearly rewarding whatever makes you money. And I don't want us to completely get away from that. I think success is important. Ingenuity and innovation is important.
Absolutely.
But there has to be something else that's important.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So how do we do that? How do we instill that?
That's the kind of discussion.
Girls got to start sleeping with teachers.
This is the kind of discussion we need to have as a country. And it gets back to this thing, this blew me away, this Pew poll about whether you feel better off. And we got diverted a little bit. It's not just economics, whether you're better off inflation accounted for dollars today than you were 40 or 50 years ago. It's more than that. It's, do you feel part of your community? All right. Or are you feeling isolated and alone? You spend half your time on the goddamn cell phone.
Yeah.
Right? And how do we, the craziness is we have more potential wealth now with all of this exploding technology. So we don't have to be working 50 or 60 hours a week. We can be thinking about what does it mean? Should we be dealing with the economic issue? Should everybody have a decent standard of living in America? Can we do that? The answer is yeah, we can.
One thing that I think is really great about Bernie Sanders going on these shows is I'm assuming that Andrew Schulz's show is overwhelmingly watched by young males, teenage boys and guys in their 20s probably. And with Donald Trump in office, with Andrew Schulz talking about, making millions of dollars or whatever, there's nothing wrong with people making money. But I think we're in a really dangerous position with Donald Trump running the country. and other people that think like him running the country, where I think you're going to have a lot of young people think, why should I try to do things the right way? I'll rip people off, I'll screw people over, I'll do whatever I can to make money and step on other people. That's really the message from Donald Trump. And I wonder how many young people are really buying into that message, instead of seeing what Bernie Sanders is saying, this positive message of people having opportunity and that money is okay, but it's not the only thing. And also these young guys that would watch a show like Andrew Schulz show, seeing, hey, Bernie seems pretty reasonable. This guy doesn't seem like the communist that my parents are saying he is, or the other right-wing channels that I'm watching are saying that Bernie Sanders is. So I think it's an interesting discussion. I did another video about this, but if you want to watch the entire thing, it's on Andrew Schulz's channel. It's Bernie Sanders talking with Andrew Schulz and his friends for almost an hour, actually over an hour, almost an hour and a half. But let me know what you think about this. Do you agree with what Andrew Schulz and Bernie Sanders are saying here? They're not yelling at each other. This is a civil conversation here. And I think maybe some good can come from this. But let me know what you think about it in the comments. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. I'm Chris on Culture, and I will see you in the next video.